These might be the least New Balance looking sneakers ever. What up guys, welcome back to the channel. We all know that New Balance has been one of the most beloved brands in the sneaker world for quite a long time now, giving us consistently high quality sneakers with classic designs and some excellent colorways and variations. But the sneakers I have right here are something very different for the brand, a completely original design with a very futuristic look to it. I'm very excited to talk about these. My name is Josh and in this video I'll be reviewing the New Balance Warped Runner. So as of right now, at the time of making this video, there is no official release date yet for these shoes, but we have seen quite a few promo photos and some celebrities such as Bukayo Saka from Arsenal rocking them. So you can assume that a release date should be pretty soon. Once I find out, I will leave a pinned comment in this video. I managed to get these early because a retailer based out of Italy, Slam Jam, had these on their website for sale and I couldn't believe it, so I just added them to cart. I bought them and I was pretty surprised when they shipped them out. I thought it was a mistake, but it doesn't matter. I'm very happy to get this pair early to review for you guys. And the retail price I paid for these was 180 euros. And based on how pricing works in Europe and USA for New Balance, you can assume that in the USA, these will be priced much lower. If I were to take a guess, probably around 160, but let's wait for those release details. So typically New Balance is known for their very strong archive of sneakers, such as the 990 series. And pretty much every new release of New Balance sneakers over the last few years have actually been retros, such as the 550s and more recently the 2002 Rs, as well as the very popular 1906 Rs. There were also some newer models that were inspired by previous designs like the 327, which were inspired by New Balance sneakers from the 70s, and also the very popular 9060s took some design inspiration from the 990 series. But with this shoe right here, it seems like we've actually gotten something completely new from the brand. We first saw the sneaker during Paris Fashion Week earlier this year during Orale's runway show, which is a Japanese-based brand, and they featured what seems to be an upcoming collab between the two, and it definitely got a lot of people talking. One of the most common comments I saw online was that these shoes reminded people of Yeezys. Some people even saying if Kanye worked for New Balance, he'd probably make these, and I kind of get that comparison, but I think that is mainly because this shoe does have a pretty big midsole, and I feel like people, whenever they see a big midsole, they just call it a Yeezy. Although I really don't think of this shoe as a direct Yeezy ripoff. I feel like it is quite different. The one shoe that maybe kind of reminds me of this pair would be the Yeezy 700B2. But let me know down in the comments, what do you guys think? Do you think this Warped Runner pair is very Yeezy-esque? The pair I have right here is the black and blue colorway, but it seems like there should also be another pair releasing along the first group of colorways, which is done in these cream and white tones, which is definitely, I would say, the more cleaner and wearable pair of the two, and I would expect that one to sell out first. But now let's get into the sneaker. So when I looked at the name of the shoe, I saw it was called the Warped Runner, so I thought, okay, I guess this is supposed to be a running shoe. However, the upper of the sneaker is mainly covered in suede, which is a material that is never really used for running shoes, and you mainly see New Balance applying suede on pretty much only their lifestyle models. So I do think we can comfortably call this a lifestyle sneaker. And the suede is pretty decent quality as you would expect from New Balance, but I wouldn't say it's the same level of quality suede you would see on the 990 series. The other material used here on the upper is this mesh, and it's not a very stretchy or breathable mesh. It's a pretty thick mesh, which once again gives me the impression that this is definitely more of a lifestyle sneaker. Pretty much the only branding you see on the shoe is this pretty big N logo on the medial and lateral sides, and this logo is actually stitched directly into the mesh. It is a very chunky looking N logo. It's similar to the one you would see on the 327s, but surprisingly that's the only New Balance branding you see on the shoe. There's no New Balance logo on the heel. There is one other color on the shoe, so on the heel you see a suede panel done in gray. The laces on the shoe are those classic thick laces you get on most New Balance 990s. and this time it's done in a dark gray color. There were no extra laces that came with this pair. But now let's move down to what is the most interesting part of this shoe, and that is this midsole. When comparing this shoe with some other lifestyle models at least, I think it's pretty fair to say that this sneaker has the biggest midsole we've seen on a New Balance lifestyle shoe. There's quite a few grooves and curves all throughout this midsole, which I think is a very interesting look and does make the shoe shoe appear a bit faster. And I have to say, you can definitely feel how big this midsole is when you have this shoe on feet. I definitely felt like my height increased a couple of inches. So for those of you out there who are looking for a sneaker to make themselves appear a bit taller, this is definitely what you're looking for. The midsole is also two-toned, so on the lateral side, you'll see a lot more black and very little gray around the heel. But on the medial side, you see much more gray around the middle part of the midsole. And the midsole is actually made out of New Balance's FuelCell technology, which you guys might be familiar with because it's the same technology used on the 990 V6, a model which I have said before is definitely the most comfortable 990 shoe. We also see that FuelCell technology being used on a lot of running sneakers by New Balance. And I will say the degree of softness of this FuelCell really is different depending on the shoe. So on some of the running models like the FuelCell Super Comp, it does feature some very soft FuelCell, whereas on the 990 V6, the FuelCell is not as soft, but it's still a much softer midsole than some of the previous 990s. And on this pair, I would say the FuelCell is actually pretty firm, especially when compared with the 990 V6, which is not necessarily a bad thing because this shoe does have a pretty big midsole. So I feel like if it was very soft and cushiony, it just wouldn't be the most stable shoe. You would have a hard time walking in these. So I feel like this sneaker has just the right amount of softness in the cushioning. And it does feel very comfortable and also very responsive. I would even say that the shoe does feel kind of bouncy. Additionally, there's some very good traction on the shoe courtesy of this rubber outsole. And when you see this outsole, you will know why the sneaker is called the Warped Runner, because you can see what looks like seismic waves, almost like a whirlpool type of pattern on the outsole. There's very little information about this shoe online, so I couldn't tell whether or not this outsole was taken from another New Balance sneaker or if it's a completely original outsole. But it does look quite interesting. You know, I did say that there wasn't any other New Balance branding on the shoe, but I just noticed that there is in fact a very tiny NB logo on the heel. So for sizing on these, so for me, these fit just like a 990 does. The New Balance community loves to have this debate whether or not 990s fit true to size or half size down. I got the shoe in my true size because I had no idea what to expect with sizing, and I will say it does fit me pretty good overall. There's definitely a bit of room in the toe box area, but from a width perspective, they fit perfect, which for me is exactly how 990s fit me, and I'd prefer to go true to size in those as well. Personally, I don't mind that little bit of space in the toe just so that I have the perfect width. But for you guys watching this video, I would suggest definitely get the same size in the Warped Runner as you would any other pair of 990s. For a lot of you guys, that means a half size down. And also, especially if you have some narrow feet, I think you should go a half down. A wider foot gang, you definitely want to go true to size. Feel free to leave any sort of sizing questions that you may have in the comments. I'll try to answer all of them. Also, as someone who generally likes to wear more straight fitting or more looser fitting pants, I actually really like the way the pants sit on this shoe. It's a very, very clean look, and having it on feet is where I actually see that Yeezy comparison the most. It's a chunky, futuristic looking shoe that does have a very similar aesthetic, but I still think it's different enough and a pretty original design from New Balance. Overall, I definitely got to give credit to New Balance for trying something totally different. Is this a sign of future things to come for the brand? Are they going to start experimenting with more modern designs? The Warped Runner, I think, is an exciting step for the brand, and I'm looking forward to see how the sneaker community receives this shoe once we have that worldwide release. I do feel like the design might be a bit much for traditional New Balance fans, but I also think this design will attract some new fans to the brand. And the shoe itself is very good quality. It's very, very comfortable. And in my opinion, at least, it looks really, really good. I'm definitely a fan. Let me know down in the comments, what do you guys think about the New Balance Warped Runner? If you found this video useful and you haven't already subbed to my channel, make sure you do that because I'm dropping content just like this every single week. I'm also very active on other social platforms like Instagram, and you can find my information down in the description. And also, while you're at it, check out the bi-weekly sneaker podcast, The Kickback Pod, available on Spotify and Apple Music. You can find that in the description as well. And just thanks a lot for watching this video and for supporting my content. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.